Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today's video was one I've been thinking about making for a while, and then funnily enough, I was asked to make it on my last live stream, so same wavelength kind of thing, and I have just been thinking about it because my next trip is in April and it is during the Flower and Garden Festival. And I thought to myself, you know, there's a lot of festivals now at Epcot, and I think that it can be difficult to know which one is right for you, which one you might want to visit during. So I decided to make a quick video that kind of goes over all 4 of the yearly Epcot festivals and gives you a little bit of background and my personal experience of each, so you can decide which one you might want to plan for. So we're going to start from the beginning of the year and move on January through December. Now January to February is generally the time frame for Festival of the Arts. This is the newest of all of the festivals. It debuted in 2017, so it's only been about 3 festivals so far since it first debuted. I actually was able to go for the first and the second one, which was awesome. It was just kind of by chance because my trip was being planned during that time. And it's a pretty short-lived festival. I believe it only runs about 4 or 5 weeks, at least as of right now. I don't know if as it's growing in popularity, they're going to expand that over time. They've definitely done that with other festivals. For now, it's a pretty short-lived festival out of all of them, and the Festival of the Arts is celebrating just that, art, especially Disney art, but not exclusively Disney art. You will find different kiosks and tents set up around World Showcase with actual artists there to sign different pieces of artwork. I actually got one from Will Gay, who's one of my favorite artists there. I've shown this off before. I'll show it to you guys really quick right now. Neato piece of artwork right here. That's pretty awesome. So he actually signed it in the corner. And so his artwork is often found in like the Art of Disney all year round, but at that time he was there to sign pieces. He had new pieces he was debuting, and this is pretty common. You'll see a lot of different artists that you might know. You might not actually know them by name, but you might recognize some of their art when you've passed through the Art of Disney. And you will really get to interact with those artists and check out more of their art on display. And it's not all Disney art. Like some of these tents have just other kinds of art, landscapes and things like that that aren't Disney related, that are featured as well. On top of that, there's a lot of neat, fun, interactive things to do. There's these cool photo booth-esque things where they are framed pictures, framed portraits. You can stand in them and pose like as if you were in an actual famous painting. Those are a really big hit every year. There is usually a scavenger hunt that has to do with Figment. There are different pieces of art throughout all of World Showcase that have Figment in it, and you have to find them. They also often have a big mural that is painted, usually a new one every weekend, and it's a paint by numbers mural, and I remember doing this and it was so much fun. You get a color, they tell you what number that color is, and you get to paint about 5 boxes. They ask you to only paint about 5 because you want everyone to have a chance to paint, and it creates something absolutely amazing, like a big mural of various kinds of images. The one that I worked on, I believe, was an image of the Imagination Pavilion. I'm blanking. I'm gonna put the video here so you'll know for sure, but that was super fun to like be a part of and to see all these guests come together to create this like amazing piece of art. As is the case with most festivals, there are workshops and seminars. They do this for almost all of the festivals that they have, and of course it is around that specific theme. So these would be art workshops and seminars. Some of them are with really big artists. Many of the workshops are actually free. You just have to sign up ahead of time, but some of them are do incur a fee. They usually post all this information on the website so you can figure that all out. You can also call and talk to a cast member, and they'll usually have an idea of what the planned seminars and workshops are. For example, a couple of the past ones that they've done has been floral arrangement and decorating, which is really cool if you're somebody who really is into that kind of thing. Watermelon carving was another one, which would be great for kids as well as adults. Another thing that they love to do for a lot of festivals is music. For Festival of the Arts, at least the most recent ones, they've had the Disney on Broadway series where they actually have people from the Broadway shows performing on the stage that is right in the American Pavilion. So doing songs from their most popular musicals like The Lion King and Mary Poppins and Beauty and the Beast and all of that. So it's a really great way to freely see a taste of Broadway because this is just being played out in the open stage, so you don't have to pay to see these shows. You just gotta get there early enough if you want to get a seat. And what is a festival at Epcot without food? So I find that the Festival of the Arts one is probably the least amount of food options because it's a Festival of the Arts. It's not food inclined the way that Food and Wine might be, but there's still an offering of some food. One of the things that I really like in the Festival of the Arts that they do for food, at least the 2 years that I was there, was in the old Odyssey building. You can get these like croissant bagel sandwiches. There's like 3 small ones and they're each different ones. I think one's like tuna, one might be salmon, and one's something else. They were very, very good, and I really, really like those. Some of the food seems to be hit or miss. I don't think it's as strong of an offering as some of the other festivals, but like I said, Festival of the Arts, the main focus isn't the food. It really is the artists, it is the workshops, and it is the other interactive bit. Okay, moving on to the next one in the year, which is the Flower and Garden Festival. This happens usually from March to May. Again, these dates can change, but that is the general time frame, March to May. It first started in 2015, so also not that old. I guess now it's been about 4 years. So I feel like it's been around forever, but it really hasn't been around that long. And the Flower and Garden Festival, it is celebrating earth and greenery and all of that good stuff. So you're gonna see the character topiaries that are really famous that are all throughout Epcot, especially in the World Showcase area. You've got them as, you know, Rafiki holding little Simba, you've got Winnie the Pooh characters in England, you've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that's one of my favorite ones. So those are really cool to see. You've got a set up butterfly garden, which is always fun that you can walk through and hopefully interact with some butterflies because you never know, sometimes they land on you and I love them. Some people are freaked out by that, but I love butterflies. There's usually like cool little gardens you can walk through that teach you about different things. So I remember there being like a coffee bean area where you could learn about how coffee's made. It's usually by the Joffrey's Coffee. I know a couple of years they did like one of those big cranberry pool things, like Ocean Spray comes and they sponsor it and you have the guy in there crushing the cranberries to make cranberry juice and you can talk to them about that process as well, which is really, really neat. A lot of obviously gardening things, so you're going to see a lot of gardening tools and stuff for the garden in all of the kiosks and the tents set up. Like we're talking little garden arrangements and ornaments and all of those cutesy sorts of things. So if you are a gardener, you're gonna love that. If you're into like horticulture and all of that, they do guided tours specifically during this time. I really wanted to go for this trip upcoming, but it isn't really gonna work out with my schedule of like when I'm gonna be at Epcot. I will not be there early enough because I tend to be early in the morning, but they're special tours that only happen during the festival through the different gardens and talking about basically the horticulture of the park, which I always find really fascinating. There's also the English Tea Garden tour, which I've heard really great things about, where you check out the English Tea Garden in England, in Epcot, and you get to try some teas afterwards. Who doesn't love that? There's also the Garden Rocks concert series. Again, they love to throw music into this stuff. So you're getting bands from anywhere from the 60s to the 90s, but you know, it's usually a little bit more like 60s, 70s, though there have been some 90s-esque bands in there as well. Again, in that same stage, free of charge. They also have outdoor kitchens. I do remember liking some of their food better than Festival of the Arts. They do also do these like gardens with each of them to let you learn more about the different ingredients that might be in the food that you're eating. For example, when you go to there's like a honey kiosk where you can get all these different honey-like drinks and foods, and they have a whole area where we can learn about honey and the importance of bees in our environment and all of that stuff. It's really neat how there's always that educational aspect to it. It's actually really grown on me, no pun intended, over the years. I've been 2 years before. I want to say it was 2017, 2018 actually, and 2019 will now be my third Flower and Garden Festival, and the more I go, the more I find that I enjoy it. Okay, moving on to the biggest, most famous, I would say, festival at Epcot is Food and Wine. It is also the oldest. Food and Wine first started in 1995, so it's been going strong for about 14 years now. It gets bigger and bigger and extends more and more. The last couple of years, it's been about September to November. Sometimes they even try to smush into a little bit of late August, which is kind of crazy. I think last year actually was late August. But that just goes to show you how much the demand is for people wanting to experience this. So this is really spread out over the course of about 3 months. It is quite a long festival and people really seem to enjoy it. It gets very crowded, so that is why they keep adding more days to it. This is where you go for the food. Like when that is your main focus, you care about the food. I believe the last couple of years they've had at least 35 different marketplaces with all different kinds of food. This is in addition to the countries they already have. They add extra countries in there for you to check out. This is when you go with an empty stomach and you get prepared to go around just to taste test everything from little bites of food to desserts to wines to beers. I mean, it's pretty incredible and usually very good. There's always a few kiosks that I think are not super great, but for the most part, you're gonna have some pretty darn good food. Also with the concerts, this one's called the Eat to the Beat concert series. They tend to have a little bit bigger of the bands. I think the more famous bands. So you're gonna have bands like Sugar Ray and Boyz II Men and Air Supply and like names that people know. If this happens every single evening, which is really awesome. There's always a concert happening on those stages, and it's probably the biggest concert series I think that they have. There are also food and beverage seminars. Similarly to Festival of the Arts, there are a couple that are free. I do find that there's more paid ones here. This is where you can learn about tasting wines, pairing wines, get culinary demonstrations where you actually learn maybe how to plate something or how to specifically cook a certain kind of food or meal. And this is coming from, you know, chefs from the resort and the restaurants, so it's pretty awesome. So there's an array of different things for foodies. Some of it's just the cheese tasting. Like you can go from I just want to drink some wine all the way up into I love cooking and I want to learn something new. Then they have these things called grand tasting events that are pricey, VIP. You get these like tastings and special menus. That's for the really big foodie who wants to do something a little special. So yeah, you're not gonna see as many different kiosks with like selling stuff. You are gonna see some like cooking utensils and tools and stuff, but you're not gonna see as much merchandise as you do, say, Festival of the Arts, where you're specifically looking at a lot of artwork to buy. It is packed. I mean, I love Food and Wine, but it does get a bit crazy, especially on weekends, because you have a lot of locals who are coming as well. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about going. Weekdays are probably gonna be your better bet. And finally, there is Festival of the Holidays. This actually used to be known as Holidays Around the World. It was renamed Festival of the Holidays in 2017, but I believe that the whole idea of it started in 1996. I actually had a really hard time finding the exact date for some reason, but I thank you to Travis, who tweeted at me when I asked for a little help, and he said according to allears.net, they said that it actually debuted in 1996, and then again, the name change happened in 2017, and it is celebrating the holidays in Epcot, and these are all different kinds of holidays. It's not just Christmas, and it's about how different cultures celebrate certain holidays differently. One of the biggest draws of this is the holiday storytellers. As you go to different countries, there are storytellers that they talk about a different tale, a different tradition, about their heritage. They also do a special holiday version of Illumination, so if that's your jam, you would also like that as well, though I guess this year it's not going to be a holiday Illuminations because Illuminations is supposed to be going away this summer. So what they plan to do this year is going to be very interesting. I guess we will see. And what is a festival at Epcot without the food? So they have Christmas cocktails, things like milk and cookies, just classic Christmassy foods and things to eat. You can even get a Christmas dinner like turkey and, you know, stuffing and mashed potatoes and all of that in the American Pavilion. So you can really get that taste of the holiday season. So this is definitely also going to be very busy because it is the holiday season, naturally busy already in Disney World. So add on top of that, having this special festival, there are going to be a lot of people there. My personal favorite, honestly, it used to be Food and Wine, but that was also because that was one of the only offerings they had. Now, I think that Flower and Garden might be my favorite. Like I said, it's really growing on me, and I know the next time I go down, I'll be able to experience it again, so I'm sure that might just solidify it even more for me. But I actually think it is Flower and Garden. I feel like it is a nice balance. It gives you more food options than, say, Festival of the Arts. It is less crazy than Food and Wine. I personally love how beautiful the gardens are and the topiaries and all of that. So that's just something that appeals to me. So I hope that helps break down some of the festivals for you. I know it seems like it's kind of a lot, but it's pretty easy when you look at them seasonally. I would love to know in the comments below, what is your favorite Epcot festival and why? What's your favorite thing about whatever that festival is? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I make videos every single week, and I just really love making the videos that I know you guys want. It was so cool to have somebody ask for this, especially after I was already thinking about making it, so I'm glad to know we're on the same wavelength. But I love knowing what you guys want to see next, so if you have any videos you'd like me to make, do let me know, whether it's in the comments below, you can tweet me, Instagram, DM me, whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.